So now I'm going to show a video similar to the last one that we watched to continue to think about this idea.
In this video, we will explore the actual process by which disciples are made. Though no formal process is outlined in Scripture, there is definitely a pattern. One of my own mentors explained it this way. Step 1, I do, you watch. Step 2, we do together. Step 3, you do, I watch. And finally, step 4, you disciple others. Keep in mind, the first 3 steps are a cycle, not a linear progression. So the process basically looks like 1, 2, 3, repeat, until we finally learn the discipline and move on to step 4. Let's explore each step. Step 1, I do, you watch. We start by watching the teacher do what he does. Often this produces our first big aha moment, the revelation of what we want to be versus what we are now. Occasionally, such a revelation causes us to reevaluate everything. Step 2, we do together. This is the day-to-day practice, the building up of our muscle memory. In regards to the spiritual life, it's how we begin to flesh out the revelation we received in step 1. Often that requires the systematic disassembly of our old paradigm and the rebuilding of a new one. Step 3, you do, I watch. Finally, we're ready to go it on our own, yet still under the protective eye of our mentor, so that when we fall, he can pick us back up and explain why we fell. Step 4, you disciple others. For those that go the distance, their reward is this. They become like their teacher. Graduating to this step includes an acknowledgement from the teacher that reframes the entire relationship. From this point forward, the student and teacher will be peers and must learn to relate as equals. Furthermore, a good teacher not only passes along knowledge in his areas of expertise, but the principles to teach that expertise to others, meaning he should have converted his student into another teacher.
So disciples are apprentices to Jesus. And a way of thinking about this that is directly related to how it was described in that last video is this idea or this structure to think about it as know, be, do. Get to know Jesus, and this is done by being with him, spending time with him, reading scripture, in prayer, getting to know who God is, what Jesus did, how he lived. That's the first step. The next is to become like Jesus. And this is where our character, who we are, our hearts are actually transformed into being more loving people and wanting to show that love to the world. And then the last step is to do what Jesus did. And that involves joining in on God's mission of bringing the fullness of him and filling the earth with the fullness of Christ, with Christ's love. So we want to do that. That's where that missionary identity comes in, as well as making disciples. So Jesus went out, he served people, he healed people, and he made disciples along the way. So that's a structure I like to think of in terms of being an apprentice to Jesus. And this is another way, similar to what was shared in the video, of how to think about this, of what does it mean to go through this process of apprenticeship. And it's starting with I do, you watch, moving on to we do it together, then moving on third to you do, I watch, and finally you do, I support and train others. And this really is the model that you see Jesus use when you read scripture. As you read the Gospels and those 3 years of ministry that Jesus had with his disciples, you can read this over and over again, and we'll we'll dive in a little bit to explore that in future weeks.